Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 853 of the Juicebox Podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, I'll be speaking with Amanda. She has type 1 diabetes, and a number of things have happened to Amanda throughout her life that are going to be difficult to listen to. I just want you to be aware of that up front. While you're listening today, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Please always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. If you are type 1 or have... see, now I'm all thrown off by this. If you have type 1 diabetes and are a U.S. resident or are the caregiver of someone with type 1, please consider going to t1dexchange.org/juicebox so you can take the survey. When you complete the survey, you're supporting type 1 diabetes research. You can do it from your home. It is very simple. Will take fewer probably than 10 minutes, about what it took me. t1dexchange.org/juicebox. Again, I don't want to sensationalize this, but be ready. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Touched by Type 1. To see an organization helping others with type 1 diabetes, all you have to do is go to touchedbytype1.org and find them on Facebook and Instagram. Touched by Type 1. Today's podcast is also sponsored by US Med. Now, US Med is where Arden gets her diabetes supplies from, and you can too. Just go to usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check. Hey, and do you know what US Med just got? The Dexcom G7. That's right, you can get the Dexcom G7, G6, the Freestyle Libre 2 and 3 systems, all at US Med. All of that and a lot more at usmed.com/juicebox.
My name is Amanda, and I am 27 years old, and I've had type 1 diabetes for almost 17 years.
Wow, since you were 10. Were you 10?
Yep, I was 10.
10 for 17 years, you're 27, type 1. Any other stuff? Did you get a fun celiac thing or anything like that?
I have Hashimoto's.
There you go. So you got a bonus thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to just, what if you just
you can't just have one.
Yeah, what if you just had diabetes? How boring would that be?
Exactly.
Hashimoto's was diagnosed when?
I think I was around 14.
Okay. Took a couple of years. How about other people in your immediate family? Mom, dad, sisters, brothers? Do they have anything autoimmune?
I have a first cousin on my dad's side that has type 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom and grandma. I have a whole bunch of people in my family that have Hashimoto's.
But interesting, isn't it? On your mother's side, the Hashimoto's, on your dad, or vice versa. One side Hashimoto's,
yeah.
One side type 1.
On my mom's side is the Hashimoto's and dad is diabetes.
Do you think people with autoimmune diseases put off a beacon that attracts other people during dating? I mean, seriously.
That would be something.
Well, how often do you listen to the podcast and somebody's like, yeah, I have type 1, but my husband's family has, and you're like, really? Like, you know how many people you don't, maybe it doesn't seem like that if you listen to the podcast, you have type 1, but not everyone has autoimmune diseases. So,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, but it's interesting how many times that kind of pairs up like that. Do you have
children?
I know.
I have one.
Does that kid have anything?
No, she is only 14 months old, so nothing so far.
Amanda, you made a baby. That's lovely.
I did. Thank you. Oh, she's adorable.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. 14 months.
Yes.
Oh, you're maybe, are you coming out of the other side of the exhaustion and the craziness?
I thought I was, and then she just got worse.
How did she get worse?
Oh, she's just been waking up in the middle of the night and just not wanting to cooperate when it comes to sleep right now.
Don't worry. You'll get her nice and settled. Then she'll have a tooth come, and then that'll start.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if that's what's going on, but who knows? It's
Yeah.
like, are they sick? Are they teething? What's going on?
Pro tip, sometimes the cutting of the teeth comes with diarrhea. Like, speaking of bonuses, you,
Oh, so much
you
fun.
get a little extra. You're married, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. How long?
It'll be 4 years in June.
Okay. Well, all right then. I think we understand who you are, generally speaking. Let's find out who you are in a more detailed way. So I guess I want to know first about being diagnosed at 10, because that seems like an interesting age.
Yeah, that was definitely a shocker for me. But I was just sick for a long, long time. I think maybe I had a stomach virus and it just kind of never went away. My mom was actually an RN in the ER at the time, and it had went on for so long that she took me in, and we went to the doctor's lounge, and she got one of her doctor friends to come back, and he took one look at me and smelled my breath and said, "Cindy, she has type 1 diabetes." So it was very, very shocking.
Do you think he billed your insurance $5,000 to smell your breath?
Probably.
Yeah. We performed significant testing on the kid. Definitely has diabetes.
Yep.
Well, do you remember much? I know why you're on the show, so everything I want to ask you seems like it should be prefaced. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Why don't you tell people what made you want to come on the podcast?
Well, I saw in the Facebook group that you had posted about getting more After Dark episodes. And so I reached out because I grew up in my teenage years in foster care and group homes.
Okay.
And I just thought that would be beneficial to people to understand what that was like.
Okay. Can we find out first how you got there?
Oh yeah,
okay.
For sure.
So if you're 10 when you're diagnosed, and it sounds like your mother's a nurse, were you talking about your birth mom or a foster care mom?
Yeah, no, that was my real mom.
Okay.
And everything, well, I hate to say everything, but all the reasons that I was in the group home was stemmed from my diabetes.
Really? Because, Amanda,
Yes.
Let me tell you, have you ever watched Shameless?
Oh, yes. Okay. Love it.
So I'm like 4 seasons into Shameless. So while you're talking, I was like, well, this is definitely about meth and alcoholism, and the parents were probably pimping her out. This is going to be a terrible episode. And then you're like, well, this is about my diabetes, really. So I'm like, so how?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's other things that will, I can get into that go into it. But the biggest reason was because of my diabetes.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, if you grew up for years and years and years in a classic family structure, was there, I mean, if you look back on your life, were there anything, how do I want to put this? I don't know. If the first 10 years of your life were a TV show, would I notice anything that would make me think, oh, one day this kid's going to be in foster care?
Definitely. I definitely not a TV show of my first 10 years. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 3, I think, and that was really rough. Mm-hmm. My dad using drugs a lot, and it was just a really rough time, and he was never super consistent with like seeing me. Mm-hmm. But from the ages of 6 to 9, I was abused by my babysitter's husband.
Oh my God.
And no one ever knew. No one ever knew for a long, long time. So that went on from 6 to 9. And then we moved because my mom had gotten remarried. And then once we moved, that's whenever I was diagnosed with type 1.
My assumption, and I'm not asking you to give me details, but they weren't hitting you. There was sexual abuse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From 6 to 9. So your mom was in a situation where she had to leave you with somebody to go to work. She chose somebody.
Yes.
And
it was actually someone from a church. It was a woman from church, and then it was her husband. So.
Wow. Well, all the people who aren't religious who heard that were just right now in their cars. This is what they did a minute. They went, I know it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go. So right now,
I didn't want to throw that in there, but I mean, my mom obviously thought that they were good people.
Sure. No. I understand. I don't know. In the middle of such a sad story, I imagined everyone listening just going, see, redemption. I told you I was doing the right thing. These church people. Anyway, not to say that, of course, everyone who goes to church would do something terrible. I don't know, made me laugh for a second. I don't know what's wrong with me. Amanda, that in the middle of that, I was like, redemption for the people who don't believe right here.
No, I knew that was coming.
Yeah. Sorry. I don't know. One day I'll talk to a therapist. Probably do it on the podcast, honestly. I need content. So anyway.
Be very interesting.
Okay, so well, that's terrible. But so your mom moved away having never known this happened to you?
Yeah, no one ever knew until I might have been like 14, I think, whenever I finally told someone. I was in a group home whenever I ended up telling someone finally.
Okay. Well, first of all, 3 years is a long time. And it sounds like this person was babysitting you for your mom's job. So did you have a lot of proximity to this person? It wasn't just like a couple of times a year thing, I guess is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah. My mom worked 2 or 3 jobs throughout my childhood. And so I was there like overnight. We would go on like trips out of state, trips to like their family for holidays. Yeah, I was there all the time.
So can you tell me a little bit about what it's like to have these experiences, not tell anybody? First of all, why do you not tell anybody? Is there threats or?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it like just became normal for me. Like it was just like, oh, this is just what's supposed to happen. And I've blocked a lot of it out, honestly. I don't remember a lot of it.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it just became like a normal. And I mean, he did say like, oh, this is just between like us. And it started out as just like minor things and then it escalated. So it wasn't like this huge thing from the very beginning.
Yeah, no, I understand. So when this is happening, I imagine there's a lot of blocking it out, but how does it come to the surface? Like, well, that's not my first question. My first question is, do you have any context looking back about how it impacted you? I'm assuming it was poorly, but are there ways that you can point to things about your personality or how you saw life or anything like that?
I mean, it definitely did not set me up for like good teenage years. I was very rebellious and very, I don't know, like would sleep around at a very young age. And I think part of that too is like my dad not really being involved in my life that much probably contributed to that. But yeah, and it definitely, having like my own daughter now makes me extra cautious and like look at everyone. You know, it's like a red flag popping up whenever there's not.
I would imagine that makes sense. So you were kind of hypersexual at a young age. And was that prior? I mean, when does that start for you? At what age do you start doing this on your own?
I started having sex at 13. And I was still kind of in and out of group homes at that time. I didn't officially like get out of group homes until it's like right before I turned 16, I think. Okay. And so it was kind of like a little bit there. And then once I got out of group homes and was home all the time, it was pretty bad.
When does your birth mother become, oh God, you were in the home when you told somebody the first time you said about the abuse? So your birth mom's not in your life consistently?
No, she is. She is. My mom's always been super involved and tried to do the best that she could with what she knew at the time. And
I'm going to tell you about one of the better decisions I made last year. I switched Arden's delivery of her diabetes supplies from where we were getting them to US Med. And US Med is more than edging out the service that we were getting from that previous company. Right from the comfort of your home or office, you can join over 1 million satisfied customers who rely on US Med for courteous, knowledgeable, and trained customer care. And their representatives are going to keep you up to date with your medical and diabetic supplies all delivered right to your door. usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check right now. US Med features a litany of things that you're going to love. How about an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau? They accept Medicare nationwide and over 800 private insurers. They carry everything from insulin pumps and diabetes testing supplies to the latest CGMs like the Freestyle Libre 3, the Dexcom G6, and a little bird told me the Dexcom G7 coming very soon. They always provide you with 90 days worth of supplies and fast and free shipping. Better service and better care is what you're going to get when you go to usmed.com/juicebox. On top of all of this, US Med is now dispensing Novolog Insulin Aspart and Humalog Insulin Lispro through their pharmacy benefits. What are you waiting for? usmed.com/juicebox, 888-721-1514. US Med is the #1 distributor for Freestyle Libre systems nationwide. They are the #1 specialty distributor for Omnipod DASH. They are the place we got Arden's Omnipod 5s from. US Med provides Arden with her Dexcom supplies. And they're the #1 fastest growing tandem distributor nationwide. I mean, I guess I could say it again, but are you just already online getting it done? Are you even listening to me anymore? Or have you already called 888-721-1514? Don't like the phone? usmed.com/juicebox. The other day I got an email from US Med and it said, you want some more supplies? I guess it was time. And I said, yes. I clicked the button and then they just showed up. You want to do it like that? It's pretty damn easy. usmed.com/juicebox. While you're out there on the internet looking for US Med, you should check out touchedbytype1.org. That's all I'm asking you to do. Check out their programs, see what they're up to, and take a look. I just committed to speaking at their next event. Maybe you could be there. touchedbytype1.org.
Yeah, she would always visit me and bring me stuff.
Okay.
Whenever I was living in the group homes.
Got it. All right. So let's find out how all that fits together. So you were diagnosed when you were 10. Do you remember your symptoms or the day it happened?
Yeah, I definitely remember. Like I said, I had like a stomach virus and it just seemed like it never went away. I lost a bunch of weight. I would go to the bathroom all the time. I would drink so much water. I would like wake up in the middle of the night and just be surrounded by like 20 water bottles because I was drinking so much. And I would get like these random bouts of like shakiness. And my mom would always be like, oh, just go eat. Like you haven't eaten in a while. And I would eat and I would feel better. And the day I was diagnosed, I don't really remember. I just know that my mom knew that like one of her friends was working and took me in just to have them look me over.
Do you recall if you were in DKA or not?
Oh yeah, I was.
For sure. Okay. Yep. So the diagnosis happens and then do you remember your reaction to the diagnosis?
I think at first I didn't really understand what it actually meant because I was in the hospital and my friends got to come and see me and they would bring like board games and we would play. And I think it was my grandma bought like sugar-free jelly beans and I just didn't, which are disgusting. I just didn't know like what it meant. And then once I came home, it sank in more because everyone around me had that mentality of like, oh, are you allowed to eat this now?
Okay.
And I think that's when it kind of started like my negative outlook on diabetes.
Right away, people were about what are you allowed to have? What are you not allowed to have? And
it was constantly. Food. People would ask me that. Are you allowed to have that? Are you allowed to eat this? Can you eat that?
Did you have any eating disorders as a child?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, whenever I started living in like foster care and group homes and stuff, I definitely would hide food, like in my room and stuff. But that was more because, again, like, are you allowed to eat this? And
you didn't want to.
They would restrict food sometimes, and so I just kind of felt like I had to have it.
Okay, so can I get a little background about? You're saying the diabetes caused your separation from your mom, but how does that happen?
Mm-hmm. So trying to think. It was around whenever I was 12. I'd had diabetes for about a year and a half or so. We had moved again, and I just kind of stopped taking care of my diabetes. I would lie to my mom and tell her I took my insulin or checked my blood sugar. And I would end up in DKA multiple times. And I don't remember how it exactly came about, but the state got involved because I was in the hospital over and over again for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had taken custody of me and pretty much said that if my mom couldn't take care of me, then I'd have to go into a foster home get like straightened out.
Where they also wouldn't take care of you, I imagine. But so excuse me, I'm sorry, I have bronchitis. I got I forget what they called it, but apparently you get COVID and now you get bronchitis afterwards. Again, like a bonus. So
Ooh.
Yeah, like the diarrhea with the teeth. So if I talk too quickly or laugh, I'm gonna cough. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Thanks. So, okay, so you're just stopped taking care of yourself about a year and a half into your diabetes. Do you have context for why you did that?
Not exactly.
I wouldn't imagine you would, but I just have to ask.
I wish, I wish I understood it more myself, but no, not really. I think a lot of it was because of the abuse that I had went through that like stopped suddenly, and then like, no one knew about it but me.
Mm-hmm.
Having to like move to a new school and having this new diagnosis and my dad not being involved. It was just a lot of things.
Do you ever remember feeling at all suicidal or anything?
Yeah, I had actually a few times throughout like those years had went to like a psychiatric facility because I had attempted suicide. And whenever I was in the group home at one point, like I refused to take my insulin, and so they put me in there.
And that was after diabetes?
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. You said something a minute ago. You said the abuse stopped abruptly. I'm assuming because you moved. And and that was a weird thing for you. So do you think that, oh God, I hate even asking this question, Amanda, but do you think the abuse felt like attention on some level? Like, did it?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So when it goes away, you've been, I mean, this horrible person has indoctrinated you already. So it now feels normal. Like, I really don't want to ask you this, but as a 9-year-old, when you know you're going to the babysitter, in your head, are you like, oh, here's what'll probably happen today? And like, if I was like, when I used to go to my grandmother's and I knew she had an Atari, I was like, oh my God, we're going to play Space Invaders. Like, and did you have that feeling? Like, this is how today's going to go. It was like, I don't want to say like you were looking forward to it. You understand? But I mean, I'm trying to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I like did know like what was, and it depended on like the day too, because sometimes like we would go to church and so like we wouldn't be at the house. So it would really just depend. But yeah, I think I did come to expect it.
I see. And then all of a sudden it's taken from you and there's interactions and people that are now gone from your life. You move into a new place, you get diabetes. And then about a year and a half into it, it just sounds like you just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, I think it just became too much, like, I don't know, like subconsciously, I guess, to handle. And it was just like coming out in a way that, wasn't healthy, like me not taking care of my diabetes.
Yeah. So once you don't take care of it, you're not giving yourself insulin, and they send you to an institution because they think you're trying to hurt yourself. Do you then realize, like, I mean, because it doesn't sound like you were purposefully like, I'm going to stop taking insulin because this will kill me. I don't think you were. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I think in the back of my mind, I knew like I could die from it, but it wasn't my intention.
Right. That's what I mean. So once it's pointed out to you that this is a tool that you could hurt yourself with, does it become more purposeful, or is it still just this, I don't care?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely became more purposeful, like in the fact of if I didn't want to go to school, like I knew that if I didn't take my insulin and I was sick, like I didn't have to go. And like I didn't use it in a way to like control anyone, but I definitely knew like how to like use it to get what I wanted.
Yeah. When you're in that setting, and this is really what I want to start hearing about, but I'm trying to find out what it was like to be in a group home or to be in foster care. I mean, start with like a high level overview. If I said to you, hey, you were in a group home, what's that like? What was it like?
The group homes were definitely harder than being in foster care because it's definitely like a institution, like you were saying. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're just there with usually like if you're a girl, you're with girls. If you're a boy, you're with boys. And you have, depending on which one you go to, you have your own room or you share a room with a bunch of other people. And there's just a bunch of rules that you have to follow. And there's usually like therapy that you go to. All the ones that I went to, they had like schools on site. So you still went to school like Monday through Friday. Then yeah, you just like eat meals with everyone like in your home. And there was staff that would like overlook you and they'd help you with things.
Set up like a barracks, or did you have a room?
So I was in a couple of different ones. Two of them that I was in, you had your own like personal room. And then like you couldn't close the door or anything, but you had your own personal room. And then the last one that I was in, it was like an open floor plan where we like all slept in bunks in the same room.
Okay. Are you, when you're there, how many people are you with?
There was 20 of us in the first two that I was in. And then in the last one, I think there was only like 12 of us to a cottage.
Okay. But it's mixed, right? Like the main site, there are boys and girls?
The first two I was at, there were mixed. And then the last one I went to, it was only girls.
Okay. Do you, when you're there, do you look at the other people and think, losers, I don't belong here? Do you look at them and think, oh, geez, this is exactly where I belong? Like how is the feeling of being there?
Yeah, no, it definitely kind of felt like, what did I get myself into? The first two, and I keep saying the first two because they were part of like a children's division, and the last one that I was a part of was the youth division.
Okay.
So that kind of makes a difference on like why people are there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the first two, it wasn't that bad because I mean, people were there for just like behavioral issues, just, like not listening or not going to school or whatever. So that one wasn't bad. But the last one I went to was really rough because there were people in there for like manslaughter, and there were people in there for like molesting other people. And that was pretty difficult to be around.
So suddenly you're, I don't know how old, but not that old. You've been a victim of sexual abuse. You got type 1 diabetes. You rebelled against it to the point where the state told your mom, hey, if you can't handle this, then she comes with us. And now you're sitting across from Jeannie, and Jeannie shanked somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll make you rethink everything, I would imagine. I want to go backwards for a second and ask you a question. It's going to be hard for you to answer, but why couldn't your mom get a handle on this?
I think she tried, but she pretty quickly was like, you're going to do what you're going to do. And I rebelled against her pretty hard. And we'd never been like, we're not like super close or anything. Mm-hmm. And so I was never like, I could just go to her and talk about anything. So yeah, I mean, she tried her best, but I was pretty difficult about it.
What does that mean, she tried her best? Because I'm also trying to contextualize in my mind her situation, which is she was married to somebody who was a drug addict who left her with a baby. I mean, and you have brothers and sisters or no?
I have a older half sister. We're 11 years apart.
All right. Well, fair enough though. She's got 2 kids. She's abandoned. She's been through her own taxing situation. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I think at that point, she did go through a lot of rough things in her life. Like growing up for her was not easy. Her father was very abusive towards her. And so I don't want to say like she gave up, but I think she was kind of like, well, it is what it is. Like
So,
I've done what I can do.
yeah.
Or like she would just ask me a lot of times, like, oh, did you take your insulin? And I would tell her yes. And she would just take it for what it was.
Your scenario,
yeah, I mean,
this whole big scenario, is it geographically systemic? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is it, I don't know. Like, I don't know where you live, and I'm not asking you to tell me, but is my husband's an addict, we kicked him out, people abuse us? Is this a story that's, like if I told you I've known a lot of people in my life, I don't know anybody who this has happened to. Like, is this a thing that just happens, and therefore it's more palatable?
I mean, yeah, I guess it could be like systemic. I guess so. I mean, my mom also like had a lot of depression issues back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I really don't know like what went through like her mind at the time besides my daughter's going to kill herself and I'm going to watch it happen.
So hopefully these people will come and help, and we'll let the system take over. And I mean,
yeah,
listen, I don't want to jump to the end, but that was not valuable to you, I imagine, being in the system.
No,
yeah,
it was not.
Okay. So, were you ever in single, like, foster care homes?
Yes, that's where I started out at.
Because you were young and cute, and that was all, like, and are those people looking to make families with foster children, or are they doing it for money, do you think?
No, the one I went to, like, they were strictly just doing it like foster care. They had already adopted, I think, 4 or 5 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they were older. Some of them still lived in the house, and some of them were like old enough to be on their own. So they were literally just doing it for like whatever reason, for their own personal reasons. But the one I went to, she had just became like a medically licensed foster care home.
Okay.
And I was her first type 1 diabetic. And then while I was there, another girl came, and I believe she was also type 1 diabetic.
So she gets herself a medical distinction so that she can bring kids in that have other issues, proving she can handle them. She sounds well intended, although I imagine there's probably a little bump in pay for that, but I'm not going to put that on her. Was she helpful, or did you just rebel against her?
No, I mean, she was nice. Again, like, she just did the best that she could with like the information that she had. It was really the other kids in the home that were kind of rough to be around. It was always like, you don't live here, I do, like, you're a guest. I never felt like I was fully at home, I guess.
How long were you there?
It was like 9 months or so.
Okay. That's a long time to not feel welcome. Did anyone bring up church? Yeah. And if they did, were you like, oh, no, I'm not doing that again?
Oh, yeah. No, it was a requirement for us to go to church every Sunday there.
Gotcha. When do you tell somebody, hey, listen, from 6 to 9, I was abused by my babysitter's husband?
I think I was 14. So I was 13 when I went to the foster home. And then I had gotten out of the foster home for a little bit because they thought like, oh, I can go back home and like it'll be fine. And it wasn't fine. I had gotten into a lot of trouble at school and gotten kicked out. And then I got arrested and put in juvie. And then I went to my first group home.
Amanda, because you're part of my group, I know what you look like. And you're just such a pleasant person that when you say things like when I got arrested and things like that, I'm like, really? This girl? Okay. It's shocking.
Wild.
Yeah, you don't look like somebody who's gonna who's going to stick me, sell me meth, and then throw me in front of a train. You know what I mean?
No.
You just don't. So
Crazy.
tell me a couple of things. Got in trouble. How do you get in trouble?
So I was a freshman in high school. I was 14, and I had started hanging out with people, which is like not their fault. Like this is all on me. But I had started like smoking weed and drinking a lot, and I had taken vodka in a water bottle to school and got drunk. And the next day I got called into the principal's office and I got like expelled from school. And
for the vodka?
Yeah.
How'd you get caught?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know this is not an appropriate question, but how'd you get caught?
I'm pretty sure someone like told on me.
Who'd you tell, Amanda?
Well, I was trying to like be cool and I was like sharing it with people, and that was my first mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my first mistake was bringing it to school in the first place.
But I have to tell you, I'm stopping myself every 5 minutes from asking you what part of the Midwest you're from. But am I close?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. It's okay. I'm sure there are people bringing vodka in Jersey too. I'm just saying. Your story your story plays like a Hulu television show. It really does. Like did you watch Shameless and think, are you people stealing from me? Like
no,
I'd be like, who was in my house writing this down? My God. Okay, so you get booted out of school. Is the weed and the cigs and all of that just to be like popular, or were you?
No, I mean I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't like I was just doing it just because, but it was just a way for me to get out of the house and like forget everything. And
well, because your downtime when you're in those homes is sitting around, right?
Yeah.
And then there's all these.
I mean, they give you like activities, but it's not like fun.
Yeah, not activities that I would imagine fill the minds of people who have proclivities like you're finding there. Like these people are not like, oh yeah, Monopoly. They're like, we should go kill something or have sex with something or smoke something, not see who gets Park Place, I'm imagining. Okay, so there's just a lot of time you're around people, and let's be fair, you're one of them, right? Like,
oh yeah,
there's somebody telling their story right now that's like, oh man, I was with this girl who wouldn't take her insulin. So, but it doesn't feel like that, right? Like you feel like you don't belong there while it's happening. Or do you?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wish it would have been different.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, obviously, I'm sorry. Okay, so it comes out. Does it come out in therapy? Do you tell somebody? You're just like,
Yeah, so eventually I make my way into one of the group homes. I think it was the second one I was in. And we would be like in a bunch of group therapies with all the other residents. And people would, talk about the things that they went through, and it would be the same thing. And I kind of realized like, oh, that wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And I had like a staff member that I really trusted, and I ended up telling her.
Does anything happen to the babysitter's husband?
Not that I know of. I kind of purposely like didn't want to know. I looked them up on Facebook at one point, and he had died. And so I don't know like exactly when he had passed away, but he had died. And so I don't even know like if he was alive whenever everything happened.
I'm glad he's dead, and however long he lived was too long. So
yeah.
Did it give you any comfort to know he was dead?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, part of me like later on wished I would have told someone sooner, because who knows like if that happened to someone else. But like knowing that it was over like felt good.
Mm-hmm. Well, did it send you into therapy? Did they hear this and go, oh, Amanda needs therapy now, we've learned this about her? Did they tell your mom?
Yeah, so my mom, they actually like at the group home we had to have a meeting, and they brought my mom in and they told her that was pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
but yeah,
because
no, they ended up telling her.
I know you're not that close with her, but has she ever brought it up to you? I mean, not that there's an apology to be made, but did she ever say, I apologize, I know I put you there, or do you get anything like that from her?
Maybe in the beginning, like like when we first told her, but no, we like do not ever talk about it.
Yeah. Trying to decide, at what age do you think your life, I mean, because you're married now and you have a baby, and you would describe these things as being in your past.
Yes. Yeah.
When does that happen, and how does that happen? How do you make that transition? What starts you in that direction? Like, you taking care of your blood sugar. Like, I'm not talking to you right now with like a 15A1C, right?
Oh no.
No.
My last was like 5.5. So
Good for you. When does it start? Like, what's the thing that gets you moving? Is it your health first? Is it, what is it?
so I was like 17. I had gotten my GED, dropped out of school. I was still kind of just like, doing whatever, wasn't taking like the best care of myself. But I moved out of my mom's house and moved in with my best friend, and I think like reality just kind of hit me. It was like, oh, if I don't take care of myself, like I can't work, I can't pay bills. It was within like the first few months of moving in with my best friend is when I met my husband, and I remember I had like not taken my insulin and I was going into DKA, and he came over to like hang out, and I was on the couch just dying, and he was like, "Are you okay? Like you do not look good." And he was just like, so concerned. And I mean, I hate to say like he gave me something to live for. That's so cheesy. But he definitely like made me realize like, oh, like there could be more to live for. Like it doesn't have to always be like this.
Right.
I can straighten up and like have a life.
So a person that was concerned for you and was there was enough for you to feel like, oh, I should probably help myself.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like it was a mixture of that and like just realizing, oh, I cannot live on my own if I don't like take care of myself and get a job. And I can't have a job if I'm constantly like throwing up and feeling like crap.
How old are you at that point when you meet him?
17.
And you're living with a friend at that point?
Yeah.
Something over the park? 20th floor? I'm just kidding, Amanda. What? No.
Oh gosh, no.
Oh gosh, no. View of the lake? Anything? I'm trying to imagine where 17-year-old and her friend end up living. Not good?
Oh, it wasn't like no, it was not anything special. It was very shady and and it did take a few years. Like, it's like I started taking care of my blood sugar, but I still was partying and, doing all the things for a few more years until I like chilled out.
Help me there, Amanda. Partying and all the things. Weed, alcohol, other drugs?
Yeah, I mean, like it was mainly weed and alcohol, and you take like a pill here, take a snort of this here. It wasn't ever.
Look at you getting demure on me. Coke, Adderall. No.
Yeah. Adderall, Xanax.
Okay, so you're doing.
I mean, and it's hard for me to like tell because like sometimes it would just be like, oh, like take this, and it's like, okay.
You're not sure what you do.
Very irresponsible.
So you're taking all this stuff. You couldn't take your insulin?
Yeah, it's funny, right?
Well, no, but why? Laying on the sofa that day, feeling that terrible, what stops you from just going, maybe I'll just give myself a couple units? Were you doing basal? You must have been doing basal and not covering meals, right?
Yeah, I think it just took me a while to get out of like not taking care of myself because I had done it for so long. Like I didn't remember how to carb count. Like I didn't remember how to do like a correction factor. None of that. And so I think it just slowly took a while because once I kind of like realized, oh, I need to like straighten myself up. My A1C was like probably in the 12s or 13s. And it took until I was probably 22-ish to get it down into the 6s, 7s.
5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a very slow, like I remember going to my endocrinologist and it would be, 11.5, and then it would be like 10.5, and then it would be 9.7. Like it was just a very slow decline.
So when you were younger, did you not know how to take care of yourself, or were you not, you knew and you weren't doing it and then you forgot along the way?
Yeah, I definitely knew how to. I just wasn't doing it. It was definitely old school. I was on like syringes, and I'd have to eat like, I don't know, 45 grams of carbs for this meal and 60 for this meal.
Right.
But I definitely knew like how to do it. I just was choosing not to.
And I'm talking to you. You're a bright person, so you weren't overmatched by it. You did not understand it. Right.
No, definitely not.
Was your mom overmatched by it?
No, I mean, she was pretty always like, I don't care what you eat as long as you take insulin for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder if like her experience in healthcare kind of gave her like a jaded look towards it, because she had seen so many people come in,
Yeah.
like not taking care of it. So I don't know if she kind of expected it or just was like I said earlier, like it is what it is. Or
what about in the foster care system? Was your care being monitored by anybody there ever? Were you ever like suddenly have like a 7A1C because somebody was paying attention, or did everybody?
I don't know if it ever got that low, but it definitely, like, my control was better.
Mm-hmm.
But the foster mom, like, she was the one that like oversaw everything, and you would have to like come down and she would have to watch you give the injections, and she would keep like the insulin locked away. I think at that point I was on pins. So yeah, she definitely watched everything. I did end up having a seizure at her house from a low blood sugar, but that was the only thing that ever really happened.
Was that a loving situation in any way, or was she just an overseer?
Yeah, she was nice, and she was pretty understanding, but she had also, you know, already seen a bunch of like foster kids and stuff like that, so she didn't take any crap for sure. And she kind of knew like if you were being fake or.
Yeah. So you said earlier that all this came from your diabetes, but I'm going to wonder while we're talking, and I'm going to wonder after we're done talking, how much of this isn't really the abuse and then the unluckiness of running into the diabetes. Like if this wouldn't have just been something else, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, you know what I mean? Like, like if you didn't just need any tiny little tip to just run in that direction. I'm going to do something unfair. You don't have to answer me if you don't want to. Your dad, your mom, and your abuser. Whose fault is this? What happened to you? And you. I'm going to put you. I'm putting you in there too, right? Who do you see as at fault?
It's kind of. I don't want to say like it's like completely on anyone. I mean, I guess if I had to choose one, it would be like the abuser.
Yeah.
But
it cascades, though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like second runner up is my dad.
Well, yeah. Well, so your father doesn't do his job, right? He doesn't do the thing he promised. He doesn't do the thing he needs to do. Puts your mom in a bad position. Your mom is having her own crisis. Her life is falling apart. Was your mom using too, or just your dad?
Just my dad.
Your mom's life's falling apart. She's stuck putting you in care. She does the best she can. I mean, she goes to a church to find somebody to put you in with. Boom. Now you're being, I mean, we're not saying it out loud, but you're being raped for 3 years by an adult. Then you get out of that situation, and before you can even come up for air, you have diabetes.
Yeah.
I don't think you had much of a chance, Amanda. Like you would have to be, I don't even know what I don't know what you needed. Like, do you know what I mean? Like in that scenario, I'm trying to think of what could have been added to your life to stop any of this. And it's sad, but I don't see like a simple answer, you know?
Yeah, I was just dealt an unlucky hand.
You needed some adult to do the right thing. That's what you need. You need an adult to look at you and go, there's a kid. They need stuff. I will be the person to facilitate that stuff for them, show them comfort and care and make the decisions for them that children are not able to make. People just let you down the whole way. And then you get into a system that lets you down. I mean, with the exception of a foster care mom who did what you explained, you're never in a good scenario. Were you abused inside the system at all?
No. Not that it doesn't happen. It does definitely happen, but no.
When you start becoming sexually active inside of the system, is it with other children inside of the system?
It was never like in the system. Definitely like in foster care I was, but otherwise like it would just be whenever I would get out on they call them furloughs, and it would just be like weekends or 4 or 5 days at a time that you could go home.
So is, like, I don't know, is 14-year-old Amanda getting a day off and thinking, I'm going to go find some cigarettes and some vodka and have sex? Is it?
Definitely not. No? I think whenever I ended up losing my virginity, I was like on like one of those furloughs at home, and it was, I want to say I was about to turn 14, if I remember correctly. And it was like 2 weeks away or so. And it was by an 18-year-old, and he had kind of already groomed me from a younger age. And so I kind of already, like, I didn't have like an issue with it, but I kind of knew it was going to happen.
Okay, you expected it to come. I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask you something that I feel bad about asking, but lost your virginity. Are you saying that as that was the first time you had intercourse, or the first time you did it willingly?
Like willingly.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure. I got to tell you, Amanda, like 10 years ago, I thought, I'm going to start a podcast about diabetes. And now I'm in a situation where I'm like, I don't know if I'm doing a good job at this or not, but am I okay so far? Are you all right?
Yeah. No, you're doing great. You're doing great.
I don't know. I feel like I'm being abused, but not much. I'm just like, I don't know everything I think to say. I'm like, I think that's what people would want to know.
Yeah, and it's been so long for me that it's definitely not.
Well, you're so chill about it. You're freaking me out, to be perfectly honest. Like, did you go to therapy or are you high now? Why are you so calm?
No, no, I definitely like had some therapy, probably not as much as I should have, but I did have some. But I mean, it was so long ago for me. And like I said, I blocked so much of it out that I'm just in this spot. Like I can't, and I don't let it get to me. Like I just have too much other stuff. Well, I have a full-time job. I have a husband. I have a child. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like, it happened, and it like really, really, really sucks. But like, I mean, it's
you're
done
still
with,
here and you gotta live, right? So
yeah.
Well, I want to move forward with you, for sure in the story, but I want to make sure I understand the transition again. So you meet. By the way, is there any chance that your husband is a handsome car thief?
Oh God, no.
No, that would have been great. And if people don't watch Shameless, then they don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so. Oh God, no. Which part did you say, oh God, to? He's going to hear this. Was it the car thief part or the handsome part that you're like, oh, no.
The car thief.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. I'm sticking up for him a little bit. So he comes into your life. He gives you some stability, something to shoot for. You basically have to reteach yourself diabetes as an adult. You don't have any money, I'm imagining. So what are you using to manage at 17 years old, which is now 10 years ago, 2012?
Like device wise?
Yes.
I was still doing pins and just finger pricking.
Okay. And so how do you get better at it? I mean, I'm assuming first step is deciding to get better at it, right?
Yeah, I think I started like I was on Lantus at the time. I was taking my Lantus every night, and obviously that helped tremendously, just having like the basal.
Yeah.
And then I just started like trying to take insulin as I was eating. It wasn't until I was 20 or so that I found out what a pre-bolus was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whenever I really got my A1C down. It was like low 7.6s
Oh, great.
when I started doing pre-bolusing.
About 7 years ago, you figured that part out.
Yeah.
Do you have a CGM at this point?
No, I didn't get a pump until I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't start wearing a CGM until maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you haven't had it. Are you automating now, or are you still making decisions? Like,
No, I mean, I'm on the T-Slim with the Control IQ.
Control
So.
IQ. Very cool. And G6.
Mm-hmm.
You've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Does the boyfriend back then learn about diabetes with you, or do you keep it to yourself?
I pretty much kept it to myself. I mean, he kind of saw in the background what I was doing. And he would ask me sometimes like, oh, are you low? Like, do I need to get you something? Or, he'd ask me like, do you need this to eat? Or he kind of saw in the background what was going on, but
Mm-hmm.
I never really like taught him.
Okay. He was just kind of picking up by being around you.
Yeah. Like if I needed later on, like when I got like my pump supplies and stuff, like if I needed to change it, like he would know what to grab to change it.
Amanda, how do you decide, using your husband back, but then your boyfriend, how do you decide this guy isn't using me? Like, how do you make that leap after the 18-year-old grooms a 14-year-old you, after you're abused as a child, as you've gone through a system where, I mean, it has to occur to you while you're a kid, like, there are people just watching me for the dollars, right? Like, just to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you make that leap to, this is a real person who cares about me and I can believe that?
Well, it definitely took a couple years.
I would imagine.
We were just like kind of friends for the first year or so that we knew each other. But yeah, I think it was just like the way that he acted towards me, like he would just randomly bring me a soda, or he would, ask if I wanted to go to the movies, or we would just like ride around in his car and just talk.
Mm-hmm.
There was never anything like attached to it.
He didn't ask for anything.
Yeah.
You never felt like the time you spent with him, you had to pay for somehow.
Yeah, it was always just very easygoing and free.
Okay. When do you tell him? I mean, obviously, first of all, you're not at Juilliard sitting around in the hall playing piano, but so I'm assuming he was doing some of the pills and stuff that we're talking about as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when do you tell him I've been abused? Does he know as a friend?
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it was a long, long time.
So,
like I think we were already married.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, no, I mean that was really hard.
Yeah, sure. Did you feel like if I tell him that he'll leave me?
No, I kind of felt like not necessarily leave me, but like would he look at me differently?
Mm-hmm. Do you like as a matter of course now, do your close friends all know this about you?
No, not really.
No.
I've told like one person, like my best friend, the one that I lived with, and then actually like some of my coworkers, because I was talking to them about coming on to the podcast.
Really?
And yeah. So we kind of talked about it a little bit.
When, why, not when, why did you want to do this?
I mean, I just think it's kind of important for people to understand that, when a young kid or teenager is not taking care of their diabetes, there's something else. It's not just, oh, I'm just not going to do this one day. Like there's something else going on. And definitely like being in the group homes, I just feel like there should be more awareness towards that and how difficult that can be. Mm-hmm. And I just never really heard anyone talk about it before.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I don't know how long ago it was now. It's probably 3 or 4 years ago where someone said to me, can you have someone on the show who drinks a lot and has type 1? And I was like, I mean, I guess so. So do you think people are like, could this guy put some effort into this podcast? There's a lot of effort that goes into it. I don't always like, I was like, all right, they want to hear from a person who was like a real, like, not just a casual drinker, right? But somebody who was drinking a lot and frequently. And, I think what people wanted to hear was there must be a way to manage it. And then you get the person on, they're like, tell you what they do, but it's not like hard and fast rules. You know what I mean? It's more like, this is how I got through it. And then I record the show and I think, well, this is like, my show has a clean rating, which means I don't curse, right? And if I curse, it gets bleeped out. And as odd as it is to me, I have a fairly heavy following of people who, my wife and I were talking about the other day. I'm like, do you know how many religious, like really religious minded people listen to the podcast? And she's like, it's a lot, right? And I was like, it is. And so I think I need to tell them, and I can't believe this is how it occurred to me, but I'm like, I think I need to tell them there's going to be a lot of talk about stuff they don't usually hear in the podcast. And I end up calling that episode After Dark just for that reason. Not because I think if you're a drinker, it's something that should be hidden. I just thought, well, these are things that don't get talked about a lot. I need to mark this episode so people can skip it if they want to. It's really how it started. And then somebody said, well, can you get somebody on that smokes a lot of weed? And then it just kept building from there. And the first time that somebody emailed me to say, like, I have bipolar disorder and I want to talk about it, or, I mean, you're not even the first person that was raped by your babysitter, Amanda. Yeah, I'm stunned by that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I was going to have conversations like this. And every time I get done recording, I think how grateful I am that somebody like you has the balls and somehow the mental fortitude to tell a story like this and the desire to share it with somebody else. I feel like I'm glad somebody else is going to hear this. But what allows you to do it is lost on me. If I had your story and I heard someone say, I'm looking for more people to tell stories like this, I think, oh, I have that story, but I'm not doing that. And I don't know. It's a very kind thing you're doing today.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, seriously.
I'd actually wanted to reach out for a long time about it. And then, that night I saw your post on the Facebook group and I was like, oh, well, here's my chance. So.
How does that feel, by the way, when the sign goes up that basically says, do you have a really fucked up life? Could you come on a podcast? And you go, oh, fucked up life. Yes, that's me. I'm here. Like, is that a bad feeling? Or did you feel like, well, I could help somebody?
Yeah, I think it's more of I can help somebody. And I'm just at such a good part in my life right now that all of that stuff doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like you said, you would never know. I was telling the people at work about this and they're like, are you lying right now? There's no way that this happened to you. And I was like, no, really, this all happened. I'm just really good at not showing it.
Do you feel steady as we're doing this, or are you going to go smoke your baby when this is over or something like that? Are you are you okay? You know what I mean? Roll up anything that looks dry, or are you
no.
Okay? You're okay, right?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
That's fascinating, Amanda. It really is. It's very cool, but it's fascinating that you're not wavering. I mean, I've talked to people if there's a spectrum of confidence and togetherness, I've spoken to people who, I mean, you've heard a lot of the After Darks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There are people while I'm talking to them that you're thinking, this person's not okay. You've ever had that feeling, right? You don't feel like that at all.
No, not at this point in my life. I don't. I mean, like I said before, it really just, it happened and I can recognize that it happened, but I've just got so much other stuff in my life now that it doesn't matter.
Are you an anxious person? Do you have depression? Anything that I'm missing?
No, I definitely have a lot of anxiety. And having a baby definitely heightened that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say I have depression. I have my days, but definitely a lot of anxiety.
Listen, everyone has. I got to be honest with you. I was sitting in the urgent care yesterday, Amanda, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I felt so spoiled yesterday. Like seriously, like I had access to good healthcare, and I still was like, this is ruining my day. I actually sat there thinking like, what a waste. I don't get that many Sundays off. And I'm sitting here at this freaking urgent care. I already know what's wrong with me. I like when the doctor came in, I was like, just give me a steroid pack and some antibiotics. I know trust me, and then an x-ray and a blood test, and 73 things later, she comes back in the room. She goes, we're going to give you a steroid pack and some antibiotics. And I was like, oh, fascinating. She goes, how did you know that? I was like, I don't know. I've got a cough that won't go away. I've been alive for 50 years. Like I clearly have something viral, or excuse me, like there's germs in there. You got to kill my germs. Like get them in there. But anyway, like my point is that I guess that it felt like a burden. Like, I mean, I wasn't like, don't get me wrong. Like I wasn't huddled in the corner, but I still was pissed. Like somebody had taken these couple of hours from me, and I was pissed about it. And you lost gaps of your life. Like I mean, honestly, how long did you say your blood sugar's been down? I mean, you got to pump at 22.
Yeah. I mean, it's been like 10 or 7 to 8-ish years that I've had it.
But you can
going down.
You could make an argument that the last 7 or 8 years are really the only years of your life that have been yours the way you want them so far. You know what I mean?
No, that's very true.
Yeah. Does everything feel new to you? Like the possibilities feel endless? You don't feel trapped or worried about, I mean, you're okay, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I mean, it took a long time to like get to where I'm at, but, no, I feel good. And some things, I hear people talk about like their childhood or like being in high school, and I just can't relate to that. So that's a little difficult sometimes, but
yeah,
other than that, it's good.
Listen, if you were telling me right now, like, Scott, listen, once in a while I get stressed out. I go out back and I kill squirrels. I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But you're just like, it's good. Had a baby. Everything's fine. How did I gotta ask you though, you tell the husband about your life. What's his reaction?
Well, he also has had a pretty rough life up until we met. And so he was just kind of like, oh, let's add more crazy to the crazy. Because, he had a pretty rough childhood also.
Gotcha. So you didn't say anything to him that he was like, oh, gosh, oh, goodness me.
He was just like, okay, well, here's my stuff. And we're like, all right.
I grew up here too. I know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, really something. Do you still live where you grew up?
I live near it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever think of
about 45 minutes away?
Do you ever feel like you want to leave?
There's times that I would like to move away, not for like those reasons, just
different stuff
for other things.
Okay. What am I not asking you that I should be asking you?
I really don't know.
I'm off center today, meaning like these conversations are, I'm always pretty sure I'm doing a bad job while I'm having them. So,
oh no,
I'm just worried that I didn't say something. Have I been insensitive at any point so far?
No, not at all.
Oh, good.
No.
Excellent. It's a weird thing to pick through. It really is.
Yeah.
You heard the one where the girl came on and talked about how her mother was complicit in her father's abuse of her. Have you heard that one?
Yes.
Were you able?
Yes, that was a really rough one.
I was going to say, were you able to listen to that?
It was, I listened to it. It was pretty rough to listen to, though.
Yeah, it's terrible, actually. It still comes up. I want to tell you that I really enjoy making the podcast, but I make it a lot, and so it blurs together to me most of the time. But but her episode just like sticks in my head. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, you're amazing. I hope somebody tells you that every day, or you have a T-shirt that says it, or it's written on the wall somewhere, or Do you? I would write it right on the refrigerator to mark it. I'd be like,
No, it's okay. I
yeah,
know that I am.
yeah, I'm fucking amazing. Right on the Frigidaire. I'd circle it.
Exactly.
People tried to rub it off. I'd be like, that stays there. I need that. Somebody better be telling me every day. What are your goals? You said you had a daughter?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Okay. So everything I experienced growing up informs how I raised my kids, right? And nothing nearly as bad as what happened to you happened to me. I mean, I had my ass kicked a little bit by my dad, but you know, like there was actually a moment when you were talking about how your mom couldn't get it together, and I thought, oh, I would have like found my head in a wall. I would have been like, oh, boss, sorry, but not that I'm saying that was a good thing, but my upbringing, we were broke. People weren't particularly kind or around a lot. And I saw how that hurt my mom. And that made me want to be around and want to be kind. And some people have the exact opposite reaction. Some people are around horror and they give out more horror. And so you were around it. You've made an incredible journey to get out of it. And now this opportunity is before you, right? There's a guy that loves you. You love him. You made a baby. There's a lot of love here. Everybody's dealing very well with what happened in the past. You're healthily moving forward. What are your goals, like for the next 10 years? Like, what are you trying to do?
Just be better than what was done with me. I just really want like my kids to know that I'm always here and I'm never going to turn them away for anything, and just be like a happier home. And I always wanted to have like the home that, you know, my kids bring their friends to, because it's so nice to be here. And definitely like love my career and want to be able to stay in that and advance in that as I want to. And yeah, just be better, I guess.
You know, Amanda, my wife talks about that all the time. Even now that our kids are older, I want the house to be somewhere where the kids want to bring their friends. And that when their friends get here, they're comfortable. And Arden's in her first, well, gosh, she's got 4 more days of her first semester of college. And the girls are already talking about coming home, like her friends. You know, when are we going to get together? What are we going to do? We're all going to go out to dinner. Then we'll come to your house. Even right before they left for school, all of them, they kept coming here. And it's a great goal, and it's very doable. So yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to do that. It's exciting, isn't it? That you'll be able to break such a terrible circle in just one generation.
Yeah, that's all I want, is to just show better and do better.
Why is that what you want? Why aren't you high or running away or abusing people? Like, why aren't you doing those things?
Well, I mean, as much as like the group homes like didn't benefit me that much, like it did make me see like how bad it can get with people. You know, and I don't want to put that onto like my child in any way. But yeah, part of me almost wants to like make up for lost time. Like I never, you know, had that great family atmosphere. You know, I never, like I said, I didn't really go to high school. I want to see like my kids do that and see like what life can, you know, actually be like.
Have you ever felt regret for not pulling it together and being with your mom?
I used to a lot. That used to be a big thing for me, but now whenever I had my daughter, we kind of got closer. We're not like still the closest, but we are closer. So
okay. Do you think when you say you're not the closest, is it because you grew up not around her? Is it because you blame her? Do you think it's because she
Yeah.
blames herself?
No, I don't blame her at all. I think it was just us not being around each other. Like it was very awkward whenever we were. And that was one of the reasons that I moved out whenever I was 17 was it was just really awkward and we didn't know like how to interact and
Mm-hmm.
just obviously like I was a teenager, just wasn't getting along with my mom either.
Yeah. Your dad ever come back?
I talk to him every once in a while and I see him like once a year for Christmas, but not really.
No. Is that situation where he's an older man now and he regrets his life, or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really talk to him about it, but I can imagine that he, didn't really take care of himself, like between the drugs and drinking, like he has arthritis really bad and he ended up losing all of his teeth and he, never like saved up any money. So now I think he's like in his 60s and, doesn't have anything to show for his life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's depressing as hell. Okay. Jeez, Amanda, you're a party, huh?
I know.
Meth teeth, by the way, on Dad?
What's that?
Meth teeth? Did we lose or
yeah,
just bad hygiene?
So.
You assume so?
I mean, I'm close with my aunts that's like one thing I can say is I'm really close to them.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them have had their teeth taken out too. I think like there's like just really bad gum disease on that side. And then I'm sure if you throw in like hygiene and using drugs, it doesn't help.
Yeah, not being able to visit doctors or hey, listen, brush and floss, Amanda. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, seriously, really get in there with those rubber picks and like, you know what I mean? Like really, really get it. Do you use the picks? Do you use them?
Squeaky clean. No, I actually use like a water flosser for the most part.
Oh, fancy you. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, show off.
Yes. It was recommended.
I want one. I'm too cheap to buy it. There, that's some honesty. I've always thought this would be way better. Oh, so much money. And I don't know what's wrong with me. All right. Amanda, this has been a lot. Are you okay?
Oh, I'm great.
Are you
okay?
I don't know. I got the bronchitis, but I feel weird, I mean, I'm not a person who's ever gonna complain around you, Amanda. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, gosh.
I would imagine when people complain around you, you're like, oh, shut up. Seriously. How, do you think all this perspective is something you draw on day to day?
Yeah, because I work in healthcare and so I see a bunch of things that definitely like I've had experience in. So for sure.
Okay. I mean, you're 27. You've got a story of like like you're 50 or 60. Like you've been through more than anyone's fair share a couple of times over already.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're really something. I'm really pleased that you did this, and I don't know how to thank you, obviously. But this was wonderful. Did we do anything or say anything that you're now like, oh, I shouldn't have said that? Or do you feel okay?
No, I feel fine. Yeah. I think like I knew what I was coming on for and I'd already kind of prepared myself. So.
Well, this is great. Let's put this out at Christmas. Man, do you
spread the cheer?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, don't you think I should throw this one right out a couple of days before the holidays? So people can feel freaking grateful, Amanda. They can be like, oh, I was going to complain, but then I realized that none of the stuff that happened to Amanda's ever happened to me. So I'm just going to shut my mouth and move forward and smile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Give them something real to complain about.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm going to let you go because I don't know what else to say. I just want to make sure that you've said everything you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just wanted to come on and, I see like a lot of parents kind of say sometimes like, oh, my kid's rebelling and this and that. And it's not always like a black and white situation. And there's other things that can be going on. And it's important to figure that out.
Oh, Amanda, you've definitely helped and freaked out a lot of parents today. No doubt. No doubt there are people listening right now who are like, oh, great. Okay. It's good. Okay. This was
It doesn't have to be to like that extreme.
No.
But
Your story is obviously, I mean, honestly, I joked about it in the beginning, but your life was at one point so ridiculous that it feels like somebody made it up.
mm-hmm.
You know?
It does.
Yeah, it really does. It really feels like, did you ever have that moment that people talk about where you're like, am I remembering this right?
All the time.
Okay.
I mean, I still like, there's some times where I think about it and I'm like, did that actually happen to me? And I don't think it was until I was older and I was out of that situation that I realized how traumatic everything that happened to me was.
Oh, I mean, no kidding. Like, I can't remember anything from the time I was 6 till I was 9. Like, I'm sitting here right now thinking, I don't have any recollection of anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can remember moments or flashes, but like, you know, I'm sure I had a great day when I was 8. I don't know it. I'm sure I had a terrible day when I was 9. I don't know it. So that even seems like torture. That idea, you know what I mean? That idea of like, did this really happen to me? It did. It just, yeah. Well, listen, Amanda, if I could grant a reset to somebody or a do-over, I would give it to you. I think you deserve it.
Oh, thank you so much.
No kidding. I appreciate you doing this very much. Would you hold on for 1 second for me?
Definitely.
Thanks. First, I'd like to thank Amanda for being on the show and sharing so openly and honestly. Of course, I want to thank US Med and remind you to go to usmed.com/juicebox or call 888-721-1514 to get your free benefits check and get started today. You're looking for that Dexcom G7, you know where to look, at US Med. Thanks also to touchedbytype1.org. Head over and check them out. And don't forget to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Touched by Type 1. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.